Hello, my name is Luther Ragsdale, broker and CEO of Platinum Real Estate. Today, I'm going to have another training video, and today we are going to talk about Buyer Brokerage Agreement. Before I get started, let me give you some information on how you can contact me. You can always visit my website at lutherragsdale.com. I have some great training information, great videos, great manuals, ebooks, etc. I encourage you, go to my website, lutherragsdale.com, and download my free ebook. It is Social Media for Real Estate Agents. It's an excellent training, and it can help you take your real estate business to the next level by using social media. Today, I want to talk about the Buyer Brokerage Agreement, and I want to talk about the pros and cons to the Buyer Brokerage Agreement. First, what's a buyer brokerage agreement? Basically this. A buyer brokerage agreement says I'm a real estate agent. And the first thing that I do as a real estate agent is I go out and I find a buyer that's pre-approved for the financing. Whether it's financing or cash, they are pre-approved. They have the financing in place, or they're paying cash and they have proof of funds. They have a checking account, savings account, something which is proof of funds. I go out, I give them a one-on-one consultation, and I explain the process of buying real estate. During that consultation, I always ask for a buyer brokerage agreement. What's a buyer brokerage agreement? Well, very simply this. It's an agreement that says I am the real estate agent, and I am going to represent the buyer. And buyer, when you purchase a property, I get paid a commission. Why is this powerful? Why is this a good thing? Well, as a real estate agent, I know you have probably had the experience, if you've been in this business long enough, where you get a buyer and you show them property and you're riding them around and you're working and you're investing time, you're investing energy to find out that they decided to use a different agent, or to find out that they want to put their buying a home on hold, or to find out for whatever reason they don't want to buy a house. We get paid on straight commission. When this happens, I lose money. This is a horrible feeling. The buyer brokerage agreement says, Mr. Buyer, I am going to get paid a commission when you purchase a house. Typically, 99.9% of the time, when the buyer purchase a home that's listed with another agent, the seller pays my commission. So I always receive this question, hey Luther, with a buyer brokerage agreement, who pays the commission? Well, if it's listed and if the property's in MLS, FMLS, typically the seller pays my commission. With a buyer brokerage agreement, the seller can still pay my commission. The buyer brokerage agreement just simply states, I get paid a commission. Now, why is the buyer brokerage agreement very, very powerful? If the buyer decides to purchase a property that's, for example, a FSBO, a for sale by owner, and I try to negotiate for the seller to pay my commission, but it's a for sale by owner, and this particular seller says, I am not paying a real estate commission. In that situation, the buyer brokerage agreement says, if the seller won't pay my commission, well, then the buyer agrees to pay my commission, but the buyer brokerage agreement says I will get paid a commission. Very powerful. So the buyer brokerage agreement helps me in several ways. Number one, the buyer is committed to me and only me. They can't go out and use another agent. If they do go out and find another agent, that's fine, but I get paid a commission. I get paid a commission when that buyer purchases a home. Now, that buyer brokerage agreement can be for 3 months, 4 months, 6 months. I like my buyer brokerage agreements usually to last 6 months. Typically, it don't take me that long to find the house, but I just like that amount of time in my buyer brokerage agreements. So, number one, Buyer brokerage agreement. I'm a real estate professional. I'm very seasoned, very experienced. I want a buyer brokerage agreement in place. The buyer's dedicated to me, and I'm also dedicated to you. So I know when I'm investing my time, when I'm investing my energy, I know that you, the buyer, also have the dedication to me. So number one, buyer brokerage agreement says when you purchase a house, I get paid the commission. Typically, the seller pays the commission. It's called a co-op. 6% commission is very typical in this day and age. The the listing agent receives 3%. The buyer agent receives 3%. Buyer brokerage agreement says I get paid. You are dedicated to me. If the buyer chooses a home that's a FSBO, a for sale by owner, I still receive a 3% commission. Okay? Love buyer brokerage agreement. The other great part about the buyer brokerage agreement, it allows me to represent the buyer and I'm not representing the seller. We all know without that buyer brokerage agreement, since the seller's paying the commission, both agents could legally represent the seller if there's not a buyer brokerage agreement in place. Again, love buyer brokerage agreement. Another very, very positive part about the buyer brokerage agreement. Buyer brokerage agreements states there is a clause typically that says even once this agreement expires, if you purchase a house, which I have shown you, I still get paid the commission. And that could be for a period of 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, whatever you guys negotiate. I typically try to get at least 60 days in my buyer brokerage agreement. So let me give you an example. I have a buyer brokerage agreement that's getting ready to expire in 1 week. Okay? The buyer have looked at several houses over the course of a month, 2 months, 3 months. I have shown them several houses. The agreement now is going to expire. If that buyer goes back and purchases any of the properties that I've showed them, even though this agreement expires, the particular verbiage in the contract says, even when this contract expires, we have a 60-day clause that says if you go and purchase a property that I've shown you within 60 days after this agreement expires, I still get paid a commission. Why? I have done the work. I've shown you the properties. If you purchase one of these properties, even after this agreement expires, I am still paid a commission. I love that in the buyer brokerage agreement. Extremely powerful, you guys. You should use the buyer brokerage agreement. There's nothing but positive. There's nothing but good things come from the buyer brokerage agreement. That agreement also allows me to that I'm dedicated to you, but you're also dedicated to me. We should be dedicated to each other. So I like that about the buyer brokerage agreement as well. Now, drawbacks, concerns, cons. Here's the only con with the buyer brokerage agreement, okay? Or something that we typically have to be cautious about. In the buyer brokerage agreement, there's an area within the agreement that have a retainer fee. Okay, what is a retainer fee? Well, the retainer fee I have had retainer fees from $100 up to $1,000. Typically, it's about $500 on residential properties. A retainer fee says this: the buyer is going to give the real estate company, in this case, Platinum Real Estate, not the agent, but the company. The buyer is going to enter into this brokerage agreement with Platinum Real Estate. The retainer fee is going to be $100, so the buyer is going to put up a $500 retainer fee. When the buyer purchases the property, that $500 retainer fee will be credited to the buyer. or returned to the buyer. Now, this $500 retainer fee have nothing to do with earnest money. Okay? Earnest money is for securing the contract to purchase the home. This is retainer fee that the buyer pays to the brokerage firm for the buyer's agent services. Okay? Individual purchases the house, you receive credit for the retainer fee. Now, I take this buyer. I'm riding them around town. I'm investing my time. I am investing my energy. And 2 months down the road, for whatever reason, they decide, I'm not buying this house. Forget it. I'm not buying it. Okay? At that time, the retainer fee is given to me, the agent, because you retain my services. I have helped you, but now you aren't going to purchase the house. The retainer fee allows me to keep the retainer fee. The retainer fee is non-refundable. Okay? All right. Now, what's the drawback? What's the negatives to the retainer fee? In this current market, in this current day and age, there's a lot of agents out there that will do business with the buyer really without a buyer brokerage agreement. So they will definitely do it without a retainer fee. So as if you go in saying, hey, I want $100, $500, $1,000 retainer fees, that can turn some buyers off. Some buyers can say, you know what, why give you a $500 retainer fee when the agent up the street will do it absolutely for nothing. We'll do it for free. So why would I give you a retainer fee? That can have you actually lose business. Would I lose business over a retainer fee? Absolutely not. Here's my recommendation. Always ask for it. Start at $500, start at $1,000, work your way down. I always try to get some type of a retainer fee. Okay, your more experienced agents have a much easier time justifying a retainer fee than your agent right out of real estate school. But I always ask for a retainer fee. If the buyer says, I'm not paying a retainer fee, I can go around the corner to the real estate firm right up the street, and that agent will not charge me a retainer fee. Will I lose that business? Absolutely not. In the contract, I will put 0.00, meaning no retainer fee. I will tell my buyer, okay, if you don't want to pay the retainer fee, I understand, fine. Forget the retainer fee. But let's still sign the buyer brokerage agreement. I always want a buyer brokerage agreement. Why? Because even though there is no retainer fee, if the buyer decides to use another agent, if the buyer decides to buy a FSBO, a for sale by owner, if the buyer goes out there and do any of those things, I get still paid a commission. So would I do a deal with the buyer without a retainer fee? All day, absolutely. I've done that several times. Forget the retainer fee. Will I represent a buyer without a buyer brokerage agreement? No. I always want a buyer brokerage agreement in place. Retainer fee, negotiable. I will do a deal. I will help a buyer without a retainer fee. When I started in the business back in the 90s, we wasn't doing buyer brokerage agreements. I helped a lot of buyers without a retainer fee. So a retainer fee, not important. Buyer brokerage agreement, extremely important. Okay? So what did we learn today? Always, and I mean always, go out and get a buyer brokerage agreement signed by your buyers before you start to assist them with any properties. Okay? Do we have to have a retainer? The answer is no. The retainer is not necessary. We don't have to have a retainer, but I very strongly recommend a buyer brokerage agreement. Where can you find a buyer brokerage agreement? Well, in your local MLS, FMLS, both systems have a buyer brokerage agreement, and you can fill one out right there in MLS or FMLS, whichever one that you choose. Okay? Listen, you guys, I have some great workshops, some great seminars coming up. Would love to see you there. Please go to my website, lutherragsdale.com, platinumrealestate.com. Check out my website. We have some great workshops coming up. We have workshops on purchasing investment property. We have wealth building workshops. We have a social media, internet marketing, listing workshops, buyer agency workshops, commercial real estate workshops. You name it, we have workshops on it. Please follow me. Register for my upcoming workshop. Go to my website, lutherragsdale.com, or go to platinumrealestate.com. Would love to see you at my next event. It's absolutely free. Also, don't forget, download that free social media ebook at my website, lutherragsdale.com. And Platinum Real Estate, we are one of the largest growing real estate firms in the Southeast. If you're a real estate agent or in real estate school or thinking about getting your real estate license, we would like to talk to you. Shoot us an email, careers@platinumrealestate.com. That's careers@platinumrealestate.com. Or give us a call, 404-994-4600. That's 404-994-4600. Give us a call today. Let me coach you. Let me help you take your real estate career to the next level. We have a great 100% program for real estate agents. We also have a great coaching program for real estate agents, and I will personally coach you and help you succeed to take your real estate career to the next level. I am Luther Ragsdale. Thank you for your time. I look forward to seeing you at my next workshop. May God bless you.